Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tim and welcome back to the T and or A. Since the last time we met, a major breakthrough has made it easier than ever to get your questions straight to me. If you go to roosterteeth.com/Tim Leftwich, I know, a URL with my own name in it? You will actually find the questions tab over there and you'll be able to answer... Fuck. God, that was so close. It was so close to getting it one run. You'll be able to ask your questions over there anytime you want to, and they'll stay there nice and safely until I'm able to get to them and either answer them on the website there or here in this very show. Now then, with all of that out of the way, what do you say we get to questions, huh? First one up is from Harwood Rowe, and he asks, if you could neuralize anyone, that flashy thing they do in Men in Black, and make them believe anything you say post-neuralization, who would it be, and what would you say? God, what a major responsibility. I could cure so many things. I could fix so much that's wrong with Barbara. I'm going to neuralize Barbara and make her never tell another pun again so that I can be the pun master. Next up is an interesting one from Flimsy Squid, who asks, what is your all-time favorite movie? Like, one you can watch over and over and over again and never get bored of it. Mine's Jaws. Jaws is pretty well and good. I'm actually really bad about picking like favorite movies and things like that. I'm gonna have to say that right now the one that I could watch over and over again without getting tired of is probably Kingsman, the one with Colin Firth in it where he's the Secret Service. Yes, Kingsman and the Secret Service. That movie is fucking top. Seriously, if you haven't watched that movie already, do yourself a favor and check that shit out because it's balls to the wall action, awesome, with a pretty interesting storyline, and Samuel L. Jackson makes a really great villain in that movie. I was pleasantly surprised going into it. Didn't expect anything. Walked out of there feeling pretty depressed and pretty great. So yeah, definitely Kingsman Secret Service right now. And Darian Swartz wants to know, what is your favorite no longer supported browser from the past? I really miss the old AOL window that had like the full login screen that you had to go into and type in your username and type in your password, and then it did the whole scan thing as you sign into it because old 56K modems were terrible. Anyway, I kind of miss that because they also had the built-in chat system that was built in there, and I spent way more hours than I should have as a young kid in chat rooms with people that I probably shouldn't have been talking to, but those are formative times for the internet, formative times for a kid, and learning how to defensive driving for the internet, I think is a good way to put it. Yeah. So I kind of miss those Wild West days of the internet, I guess, but at the same time, I really don't, because are you kidding me? Some of the things that we have now couldn't hold a candle to the lost in the darkness that we were back then. Oh my God. And a question from 19 Nanas 90. Oh, that's Shannon backwards. And then 1990. Oh, look at you, clever. Are you a coffee, tea, or hot chocolate guy? And if tea or coffee, how do you take them? I'm definitely not coffee. I think I'm definitely a tea guy. Like, if you see, my tea is definitely cold and sweet, but I'm also a hot chocolate guy. Like, if I'm gonna have to have a hot, sweet beverage to get me through a particularly cold morning or evening or whatever, it's probably going to be hot chocolate. Hot tea is good enough, and it would definitely be with sugar and not milk. I prefer mine American style, not English style. But I would rather have the chocolatey goodness that going down in my tummy with the little mini marshmallows on top. You can't help it. I'm actually secretly 12. I don't know if you know this. I'm a 30-year-old man who's secretly 12. Not quite 30. Don't do that to me yet, Tim. Why would you do that to me? This question just in from Stroop Troopers. If you were ever low on the inspiration mojo, what do you do to perk yourself back up? Shout out to the plane that's landing on my roof. I like to create things when I'm feeling in a rut. Honestly, like 10 minutes before walking into the door to make this thing, I felt like poop. I hadn't really made anything other than the Twitch streams that I've done in quite some time. And then I sat down here to make this video. And looking at your questions, realizing that you're engaged with me, sitting here trying to make a video and doing the editing in my head beforehand and trying to be silly and funny and spontaneous and frivolous and at the same time some semi-scripted looking here at a set of questions, it's going to give you energy, despite all of the bleh that you might have felt coming into the room, there's almost no way to not be energized or inspired the second that I look in that camera and I see tiny little blue outlines surrounding the lens. Let me know that it's recording. And you guys are going to see this because honestly, let's face it, I'm too lazy to actually edit most any mistake out. I mean, look at the intro there. I made a mistake there, and in my head, while we were doing the thing, I said, you know what? No, this time it's not going to be perfect. This time it's going to be human. It's going to be mistaked. It's going to be, no, we're going to have a moment to peek behind the curtain, and I feel okay about it. Anyway, the question was about inspiration mojo, and then I went off into a tangent about just being okay with mistakes, but you get the point. Making things and doing something and being outgoing in some way, even if it is just to questions that you guys asked weeks ago that I kind of haven't gotten to yet, it puts me in a pretty good mood. I would recommend finding something that you can do. Going back to the Beating the Blues video that I talked about, finding something to do that is worth your time, that gives you some sort of tangible result is pretty good way to beat the blues, the writer's block, the inspiration mojo loss, whatever you want to call it, that is just the general buzz of being tired and being human. And Picaro is dying to know who or what inspired you to get a career in acting. Oh, that is a very long and convoluted answer, but the short version is when I was about 3, I went to a dinner and a show, and I've told this story a couple of times now, but I don't really care, it's a great story, where there was a stage play done after a delightful and fancy dinner. And all of these adults and all of these kids went into this attached room to the restaurant that we just ate in, and we watched a play. I had no real cognizant sense of what was going on. I was 3 or 4 at the time. But I understood even back then that these people who were up there on stage, they were somehow more important, literally above the people who were watching them right now. And they weren't like imposing about being on top, but they were definitely the ones being paid attention to right now. And that intrigued me even at that young age. And unbeknownst to me, that kind of informed every other decision I would ever make about what I wanted to do as an adult. I mean, you can look at like joining a theater group in high school who would go and do usher at theater, local theaters around town, and watching a show being like, oh man, that looks super duper cool. I wonder if I'll ever be able to do something like that. And then that's exactly what I did in college. That all led from when I was like 8 or 9, watching Jim Carrey do Liar Liar and pointing at the screen and going, I want to do that. And my grandmother kind of, tried to nudge me off that path saying, no, that's called being a lawyer, and not telling me at all that what I really wanted to do was be an actor. And I found that out way after the fact, after I'd already spent about 2 years in college pursuing a law degree. Yeah. But anyway, it all started back with that central idea that these people on stage were somehow slightly more important. They had to take it upon themselves to think that they had something to say, some idea that they were the conduit for to express, and that really stuck with me. And our last question today comes from Alanis123, who wants to know, what exactly did you study at college/university/grad school/Starfleet Academy/Clown College? And did what you learnt help you with your career today? The answer is an unequivocal yes. Everything that I learned in college and beyond has served me every day. And that's because I've always approached every learning situation, college and before and beyond, as, hey, is there some new technique that I don't know? Yeah, let me learn that. That's interesting. I've never tried that before. Let me learn how to do that, And I have always kind of been this information sponge that I love learning things, especially if they're things that I don't know already. And I don't mind learning other things that I know already, because you never know if you know them accurately. It makes me very well versed when it comes to doing some of the random silly things that we do around Rooster Teeth. Say, for example, they want a suit of cats that Alan Richson can wear for an episode of $1 Million, but how on earth can we attach them? Hey, I know, I can take some monofilament and some fishing line, sew them onto all the costumes, and that'll work just fine. I can do it in multiple places. It'll look like the cats are attached to them. We'll do a little bit of ADR afterwards, and guess what? You've got a suit of cats, baby. You never know when little pieces of information that you picked up over the years will come back and serve you in spades. So, I mean, hell, all the chances that I get to when I do little stupid photoshops. I did one earlier today of Lawrence, who made something like, I want to be a cyborg someday. So I was like, oh, you want to be Reese from Tales from the Borderlands? So I did a little Photoshop of that, and that was really me getting to fuck around in Photoshop for a little bit and remember how to use the blur and the smudge tools to push the neckline of Lawrence down to where I needed it to onto the collar and extend his forehead a little bit back and put the little reticle inside of there and extend his sunglasses, or not sunglasses, his regular reading glasses to go into the ear, things like that really are just kind of practicing for the big game, as it were, when I actually need to do some Photoshop for the office. But in the end, they're just little silly fun things that I get to do for fun and for me and for giggles. So, you never know when something silly and frivolous and fun can turn into a learning opportunity. So do them all the time. That's how I learned. And on that rather long-winded note, I think we're going to go ahead and call it a day here. Thank you so much to everyone who submitted questions for today's episode, as well as those who have questions coming in the future. And don't forget to keep them coming at roosterteeth.com/Tim Leftwich. Link in the description below. Thank you all so much for watching, everyone, and as always, we'll see you next time.